Hi, Janine again. This is video 3 in Future Story, the VibeWire Media Makers project. This video is about scenarios which are possible, plausible stories of the future. So that just means that they have to be kind of consistent, make some kind of sense, and possible. I prefer possible over probable. So the idea of possible stories actually starts to change the way you think. Whereas if you do probable scenarios of the future, you can often get a little bit stuck in today and not push yourself far enough out into the future. Because one thing we do know is the future is unknown. And the speed of change is getting faster. So it is very possible that quite different futures that get created. If we had said, 15 years ago that there would be this internet where knowledge was available in many cases, most cases for free, that we would have like an encyclopedia like Wikipedia that was set up virtually for free, all this information is available for free, people would have said you're crazy, yeah? So the future is full of amazing possibility, and it seems to be getting even more so. So scenarios are possible, plausible stories of the future. And you'll often hear me say futures, which means multiple futures. And that's a really good way to think, because it doesn't get you too stuck into one possible story. That there are many possible stories, and that's the most exciting thing about futures. And about how we can create the kind of story that we want, the kind of future that we want. Okay, so I said that we can look at 4 different versions of the future, or 4 different kind of contexts for the future. Now there's the personal, the local, the regional, and the global. And I'll just use one example, say. I'm very keen on good environmental practices to kind of create the kind of future that we want to leave for our children, grandchildren, and future generations. So important. So my personal future is full of stories of me being involved in projects at all sorts of levels. So, for example, on a personal level, I grow my own vegetables. That's so that I can get the skills necessary to grow more food, because we are in the future most likely to have to grow our food inside the city. So this is one way I can do it. And the other way is that our street, and I didn't organise it, somebody local, this is into the local sphere, one of my neighbours has set up street gardens. So we grow vegetables on the verge, near the footpath. And yeah, anyone can have the vegetables. We just grow them there and people can have them. So again, this is one of those ideas of creating the kind of future that you want. And, on Sunday afternoons, I can go out there and dig around with my neighbours, which is kind of nice. So have a cup of tea and dig and have a chat. It's really lovely about this whole local thing. Now, if I look regionally, I might say, okay, well, citywide, I might want to encourage green growth. So I might join some movements like permaculture, which is really a gardening movement that's using very natural practices and actually involves less work. It's a great idea. But it's also about the whole creating some kind of culture that is, sustainable. So, getting to know your neighbours, being, so that if you know your neighbours, then you can car share, you can, share and barter. Like if I've got great loads of, what was good this year? Chilies. I have millions of chilies. If you want chilies, let me know. But yeah, like I can give neighbours chilies and then they could give me something else, I don't know, tomatoes or lettuces or something like that. And you must think that, well, that's all I do is garden. But of course I work strategically with organisations. And then the other context is global. Now, in the global context, I do quite a lot of activity. So I'm involved in many global organisations trying to create better, healthier futures. So they could be kind of green organisations or social justice organisations. And for me, very much, when I'm working with futures, I usually start at the global level, because once you understand the world we're in, you can start to think, well, what does that mean in my house, in my job, in my family? What kind of clothes will I wear? This kind of thing. So it actually has a lot of meaning down at the personal level. So they're the four spheres, the four contexts. So that's a personal context, a local context, a regional context, and a global one. For you, it might be slightly different. Let's talk about scenarios and how they're built. Basically, we start with trends. And the next video will be about trends. But we start with trends, and then we start to mix the trends together and have creative conversations which help create different possible stories of the future, different scenarios. And for us in this exercise, for Future Story, we'll focus on one story, and one story that you can tell that is giving you a voice in the future and affecting others so that their voice in the future will be different.